Disrupting Japan, Episode 28. Welcome to Disrupting Japan, straight talk from Japan's most successful entrepreneurs. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for listening. This week we're talking about toys. Well, one toy in particular anyway. Today I'm happy to introduce you to Akinori Takahagi, founder of Moff and inventor of the Moff-band. Now, we talk a bit about what the Moff-band is during the show, but I think I should explain it now so that the rock guitar solos, the lightsaber duels, and the drum fills you'll hear during the interview will not take you too much off guard. The Moff-band is a wrist-wearable device about the size of a watch that makes all kinds of programmable sounds based on how the wearer is moving their wrist. So kids can pretend they're playing tennis or slaying dragons, and the Moff-band will generate the appropriate sound effects. Cool. But of course, we do a lot more than just talk about toys. Aki gives some very practical advice about bootstrapping a hardware startup, what it takes to run a successful Kickstarter campaign, and the rocky road to getting retail distribution both here in Japan and in the U.S. But it's much more interesting to hear Aki tell you about it himself. So let's get right to the interview. We're sitting down with Akinori Takahagi of Moff, who makes this incredible wearable smart toy, which I'm not even going to try to describe without a visual representation. But Aki, why don't you tell us what Moff is, because it's pretty cool.
So I'd like to introduce our Moff. We developed our original wearable devices.
Right.
And this wearable devices detect not only motion but also position change.
So it's a device you wear on your wrist.
Yes,
right?
That's right, yes.
And it detects position changes, motion, and just snaps right on there.
Yes, that's right. So strap like this.
Right.
And connect it to the app using Bluetooth. Okay, I have nothing in my hand, but I can play an airplane drum.
Okay, let's see this.
Okay.
So for the audience, he's just pointing at me and the sound is coming out.
And I will change my body and I will change my position change.
Okay, so the device on your wrist is actually sensing not only the motion of the arm, but which direction you're pointing,
yes,
the orientation, and it's adapting the sound that's playing from that, which is cool, but what's it good for?
Yes, so usually in order to detect human motion change and position change, usually we use image sensing such as Kinect. However, there's a big problem with camera image sensing for 3D motion sensing. This kind of devices needs special devices. And also human activities is limited in front of camera.
So this is more go anywhere, take it anywhere.
Yes, that's right. So if we use our Moff-band, so just strap wrist, I can go around freely.
Right, you don't have to face the camera.
Yes, that's right.
You don't have to stay in sensor range.
Yes.
And I feel like we're leaving out the most important part here, because the reason this is important is that you and I really don't use the Moff-band.
Yeah.
All the people who use the Moff-band are kids, children, right?
Yeah. So now, by using this technology, we offer new play experiences for kids. Nowadays, usually kids play with toys or apps, but so we using this Moff-band, we can offer the same play experiences as toys, and also we can offer real play experience, not using screens. So I think also we offer new play experiences, both toy and apps.
What is the target age of the children who use it?
So in terms of a toy, so we target age is 3 to 10 years
3 to
old.
10.
Yes.
So the 3 to 10-year-olds can put the Moff-band on the wrist. They can, by moving their hands, they can be playing guitar, or playing drums, or having a lightsaber fight.
Yeah. That's right.
which is really cool.
Yeah, so I will show you an interesting demo.
Awesome.
Every kids can become a rockstar.
Excellent. So a lot of your promotions for the Moff-band, you've done a lot of promotion in the U.S. You've been to South by Southwest,
Yes.
Toy fairs. Was this a strategic decision to focus on the U.S., or did it just work out that way?
Okay. So thank you for a nice question. So this is our strategic decision.
Okay.
Yes, we do many user tests. We found for our devices,
Right.
US market will be the most appropriate.
Why is that?
This play experience using a big motion and big noise compared to Japanese kids. So US kids and US people really loves big motion and big hardness.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't exactly say Japanese children are quiet. But, that in America, the children they move more. Their parents maybe are more comfortable buying them loud toys. Interesting.
Yes, and also so it's compared to Japan market. In the US, there are many wearable devices and IoT devices already sold. Most of the customers and the users can accept our new play experiences
In the U.S.
in the US. On the other hand, in Japan market, wearable and IoT is wow. Looks so difficult. It's first time to see.
This I find kind of sad because I'm used to, my background's in business-to-business software. So I'm used to Japanese businessmen being very slow to adopt new technology. But it's hard to believe that Japanese children are also slow to adopt new technology.
Yeah, okay. So
maybe more their parents.
yeah. So in fact, every kid is early adopter,
Right.
innovators. However, parents is not.
So the parents are the problem.
Yes,
That makes more sense.
Yeah. That is.
So you launched Moff as a Kickstarter project.
Yes.
Why did you decide to go on Kickstarter rather than get distribution at home here in Japan or go on Campfire or one of the other Japanese crowdfunding sites? Why Kickstarter?
This is our strategic decision. So we want to launch our products not only Japan market but also any countries.
Right.
Especially for US market, even for Japanese startups. Kickstarter is the best tool to show our product to worldwide.
Right.
Yes.
Was that difficult for you because of the language barrier and the Kickstarter, so much of it relies on videos and storytelling?
Yes.
How did you overcome that? Did you have someone help you out or did you just do it?
When I studied the Kickstarter project, there's a few successful examples of Japanese startups. We search for successful examples of US startups.
Right.
And we researched what kind of story will be appropriate and what kind of video will be necessary.
So copy from the best.
Yes.
That's a good way of going about it. So after the Kickstarter, it took you about 6 months to launch the product, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, do you have any advice for Japanese companies who want to start a Kickstarter campaign? Is that the way to go if you're an Internet of Things company in Japan?
Kickstarter is the best place for Japanese startups. However, I know many unsuccessful projects. I think the different thing is to tell the story visually.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes story is not unclear.
Well, but then again, that makes sense. If you're telling the story visually, the language difference isn't so hard.
Yes.
It's not as important.
So yeah, in my experience, most of backers just watching videos or pictures, not reading long sentences, just showing us images and videos. Very simple, but very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, come to think of it, this wrist wearable
Yeah.
design was not your first design, was it? I remember seeing you at a pitch event years ago, and it was, I think you'd actually made like a toy of some kind.
Oh, yes, approximately 2 years ago, pitch event. At that time, we don't call wearable,
Right.
just the sensor devices. At that time, we put our sensor devices on any product. So just the sensor devices, attached sensor devices.
So your original plan was to make the sensor and then partner with toy companies to embed this in toys.
Yeah.
What made you change the strategy?
So the problem with the original plan, attached device is difficult to analyze motion sensing because the data depends on the location of attachment. For example. Yeah. So here, the data is totally different.
Every new toy you would have to kind of re-engineer the product for.
Yes.
So you decided just to go and make it yourself.
Yes. So list is interesting because this is original of any movements position change. We found the better idea than attached devices. So wearable, yes.
Okay, well, let's see. The current product was launched about 9 months ago? Almost a year ago now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 months ago, yes.
How have sales been going for the last year?
Fortunately, we start to sell our Moff-band at Amazon.com and Amazon Japan, and we ranked in US second position at the category of tech toy, and first rank in Amazon Japan.
Congratulations!
Yes,
that's a pretty good first year.
Yeah. So our launch year was so successful.
So is your main distribution channel Amazon?
Yeah, last year. This year we expand our sales channel, and especially for this year's holiday season.
Right.
Yes. So this holiday season we distribute major retail chain everyone knows in US.
All right. Can you say the name of the chain yet?
As of now, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll wait for it.
You can
we'll wait for it.
But there's very major retail change.
As you mentioned earlier, most U.S. retailers, if you have a product that you've proven you can sell on your own through Amazon or through the web, are willing to talk to you about stocking it and selling it. Have you found Japanese retailers are also willing to sell Moff, or are they still waiting for more proof of some kind?
Actually, in Japan market too, major retail chains start to sell our Moff-band, such as Big Camera and Tsutaya.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Are you still seeing most of your sales coming from America, or is more coming from Japan?
I think this year will come from US.
Okay.
So because the deal is much bigger.
Right now, are the markets just Japan and the US? Are you looking to expand into other markets as well?
Of course. Not only US and the EU and Australia and China. Actually, so many distributors contact with us.
Excellent.
Yes. However, we want to start step by step.
Right.
So Japan, US, and we expand to other areas.
Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of Japanese startups and all Japanese investors are always saying, startups should be thinking about going global from day one. Moff is a company that definitely went global from day one, before day one, actually. How important do you think that decision was? Do you think that you've had an easier time selling the product in Japan because you were successful in America? Or do you think that you would have had the same success in Japan if you just focused on Japan at first?
Actually, so before a Kickstarter project, few people think Mofu is good.
Okay.
Very few. But after a successful Kickstarter project, many people start to pay attention to our product.
So when you say people, do you mean investors?
Yes.
Okay.
Investors and also not only investors but also toy companies, retailers.
Okay.
Yes.
So at first, only the children were on board in Japan.
Yeah. So children, so we do many user tests, and many kids love the Moff-band. We know. So not only in Japan, in the US. However, so toy company and the toy distributor, is this a toy? It's strange. No. You should do that. You should do that. So at that time, our reputation is not so good. However, after a successful Kickstarter, it's totally changed.
Everyone's changed their mind. As always, grown-ups are the problem.
That's right.
Hey, well, listen, let me ask you a bit about your own background. You were involved in marketing and product management at Kraft, Mercedes-Benz, GM. What made you change career and want to found a company, and why toys? It seems like such a shift in so many ways.
Actually, I love hardware. I believe the new potential of hardware, especially IoT, because when I worked for Mercedes-Benz, typical hardware companies.
Sure.
At that time, we saw the big potential of connected hardware. I think 3 years ago, I found this big potential. I'd like to start a new product with IoT.
All right.
And at the same time, I had my first baby. Yes. So
Okay.
that's why I'd like to develop new IoT devices for my family.
Okay, so suddenly you found yourself thinking a lot about toys.
Yeah, yes.
That makes sense. That's a big change for you. What would you say was the hardest thing you had to learn in moving from large, stable companies to a small IoT toy startup?
I think living cost, salary.
Yeah.
Yes, startup is a very good environment.
Yeah.
However, so salary is quite different from big companies. I think my current salary is lowest in my career history.
But that must have been, how did you convince your wife that this was a good idea when you just had a young child? That must have been kind of a hard conversation.
With my wife?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife totally backed me.
That's awesome.
Yes. So because she said to me, "Let's do it." Because if you don't, later you said, "I wanted to do that, but I quit." She said, "I don't want to hear this kind of fucking thing
For years and years in the future.
Years. So that's right. Yes. So
That's great to have that level of support, though. I think
Yes.
that's so important.
and also my wife's father support me totally because he worked for a big company for a long time.
Right.
But in his career, he had to give up many challenges or many dreams. He said you should do
Follow your dream.
Follow your dream. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is fantastic. It really does seem like the attitude in Japan is changing
Yeah.
towards starting your own companies and
Yes.
to going out on your own. That's a great thing.
Yeah, I think so. It's a total change because to develop new things for a big company, new challenges, not a good
True.
environment.
Yeah. No, and big companies, people try to stay away from the challenging stuff.
Yes.
During the change, what did you have to change about yourself to become a successful entrepreneur?
Actually, I want to be just a developer and a creator. And if possible, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. So it's a totally different skills and the type of mind. So if possible, I want to be just a developer and a creator, producer. But if I want to develop innovative thing, just developing is not enough.
Right.
Because we need a great team and many financing, and it's totally different. So that's why I learn by myself, especially team building and financing.
So you don't get a chance to program and develop much anymore?
Yeah, it's true. So
Do you miss it?
Yes, I totally.
I do.
Yeah, so developing and creating something is, it's for me, it's the most enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I found we need a great team. So I changed my mind. Now I'm focusing on creating a great team.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. You You went to college in Kyoto.
Yes.
Did you grow up in Kyoto?
No, I born in Osaka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Japan has a number of startup ecosystems. They've got, Tokyo is the biggest. Fukuoka's got a very healthy, if small, ecosystem there. There's a solid ecosystem around Kyoto. What are your thoughts on the different startup ecosystems in Japan?
So the big difference between ecosystem is just the number of investors. Because if many investors are there, some investors loves your product. How can I say so?
Okay.
So there are many options. Yeah, that's
So
right.
you're saying if there's just enough of them,
Yes.
someone will understand that this is a great idea
Yes.
and believe in you. But you couldn't find that at first in Tokyo, right? Except for the children. You were saying that the investors didn't understand what a great idea you had.
Yeah, but just one great investor understand our strategy. So this is our angel investor, Kamada-san.
All right.
He understood our product potential. Actually, most investors don't understand our potential, but Kamada-san really understand.
Well, having an angel investor or any early stage investor that really gets what you do is invaluable.
Yes, that's right.
The startup ecosystem in Japan, if you could change anything, if I gave you a magic wand and said you can change anything about the startup ecosystem in Japan, anything at all, to make it better for Japanese startups, what would you change?
I think there are many good things in the Japanese ecosystem. However, global point of view is, I believe, lacked in Japanese ecosystem.
So you think the founders need to start thinking globally sooner?
Most of Japanese startups see just Japanese market and Japanese tech trend and something like that. But I often go to overseas conference exhibition such as CES and South by Southwest.
Right.
And, unfortunately, especially in the area of IoT, Japanese getting out-fashioned.
So, thinking globally, it's not just global market, it's looking at what companies overseas are doing,
Yes.
looking at the innovation around the world,
Yeah.
and being aware of that when starting a company.
Yeah.
That's pretty good advice because you'll eventually run into that competition.
Yeah.
If you're successful,
So we are facing a global competition. Unfortunately, there are many good startups in Silicon Valley with good technology and a good ecosystem. I often go to the Silicon Valley, but every time I'm so surprised in terms of this. So it's a good impression and a good inspiration for me. Only in Japan market, there's no inspiration.
Right.
Yeah, but in Silicon Valley and in Europe, there are many inspirations because there are many IoT startups.
What do you think about IoT in Japan? Because I think, and I've talked about it before on the podcast, I think Japan has the tools and the human resources to be incredibly strong in innovative Internet of Things companies. What do you see happening now with other Internet of Things companies that are starting up in Japan?
Unfortunately, not optimistic. I used to work for a hardware company, so Mercedes-Benz. I think the rule was totally changed. IoT is totally different from hardware and also software. IoT is a third world, especially influenced by software.
Right.
Yes. So for IoT, important thing is to develop a kind of system using hardware and software. The system is, in my understanding, system is very important.
Right.
But better than developing good hardware, just hardware. How can I say?
So you think right now the Japanese IoT companies are too focused on the hardware?
I think so. I think so. So, and also, including me, Japanese is not good at developing a system.
Interesting.
Yes, system needs a totally different skills. system is very important, but very difficult.
So that's the new challenge for Japanese startups.
For Japanese startups.
Excellent. Let me ask you, now that the Moff-band has been out for almost a year, you're getting distribution of that. What's next for Moff? Are you going to have upgraded products? Are you coming out with something new and exciting?
Yes. So our next challenge is to create a new system.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the exact thing you were talking about that's so difficult.
Yes. So we have a good devices and a good recognition engine.
Right.
That we can collect good data from users. We already developed a kind of platform, but so our next challenge is how do we create a new system using our Moff SDK and Moff technologies. This is a new challenge, but this is so exciting for me because we are...
Well, it's something to look forward to. Hey, listen, this has been fantastic. Before we kind of wrap up, is there anything you want to tell Disrupting Japan listeners?
As of now, my interest is to offer a new play experiences with a new system.
Okay.
We want new members, especially engineering side.
All right.
So, yes.
Okay.
So we are looking forward to many applications.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Aki, thanks so much for sitting down with me and telling our listeners all about Moff.
Thank you.
And yeah, this is great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then we can just turn off the mics and finish this beer.
Okay.
And we're back. It's interesting. Aki was forced by the limitations in the technology to create his own device rather than partner with existing toy companies. But even without the technology issues, it seems pretty clear that this would have been his only choice. Like so many other innovative products, all of the experts told him that children would not be interested in such a toy, even when actual children showed great interest. I think that if Aki'd not struck out on his own and taken charge of his own sales and distribution, this great little toy would have died in committee somewhere. And the world's children would be much less entertained, if perhaps a bit quieter. It's going to be interesting to watch Moff over the next few years as they try to transform from a company making a cool interactive toy into a platform company that leverages that toy. And we'll be sure to keep an eye on them. If you've got an experience with the Internet of Things, toys or otherwise, come on by disruptingjapan.com/show028 and tell us about it. We'd love to hear it. When you drop by the site, you'll also see the links and sites that Aki and I talked about and much, much more in the resources section of the post. And if you get a chance, please leave us an honest review on iTunes. It's really the best way you can help us get the word out and support the show. But most of all, thanks for listening. And thank you for letting people interested in Japanese startups know about the show. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for listening to Disrupting Japan.